Michael Ockwell, Chief Executive of the Mayflower Theatre in Southampton. Now, when Michael first arrived in 2012, the Mayflower was really holding its own as the largest theatre in the south of England. But they had a lot of room for improvement when it came to their education and outreach. So for instance, in that year, of all the people in Southampton, the number of people who participated in Mayflower education and community outreach programs could have fit in the Mayflower Theatre. In fact, they could have fit in the balcony. In fact, they could have fit in the balcony back when they were doing social distancing. 365 participants for the entire year at the Mayflower's education and outreach programs in that year. Now, as the new chief exec, Michael felt very strongly that they should be doing more. He wanted the Mayflower to be an artistic hub for the entire city. And so he and the team began to really lean in to these programs. They created theater programs for youth and young adults, and they created a singing program for the elderly, and a group for people with autism, and workshops for teachers, and much more. And by 2018, the number of participants served annually by their programs had grown from 365 to 38,000. The equivalent of selling out the Mayflower Theatre 15 times over, which was amazing and presented a new problem. They were completely out of room. I mean, it is great to teach Shakespeare to teens. Less great to do it in the bar. And so Michael and his team started looking for a new home for their education and outreach. And they found a place, they found a new location in 2017, but unfortunately, that deal fell through. But then again, in 2019, they found a new place that fit the bill. And the deal was coming through, the feasibility study was done, and Michael was putting the finishing touches on the proposal to take to the board. He was pretty sure they were going to go for it, and he was excited to present it to them at their next board meeting, which was scheduled for March the 20th of 2020. That board meeting ended up having a couple of other topics instead. And yet again, the dream of a home for Mayflower education and outreach was scuttled. And just like the rest of us, the Mayflower crew went below deck and hunkered down to wait out the storm. And then the bad news kept coming. In May of 2020, Southampton was home to a very sad milestone when the Nuffield Southampton Theatre became the first major theatre in the country to go into administration as a result of the pandemic. Michael received this news with sorrow. This was a colleague institution, he knew them. It was a real blow to their city. But as the days and weeks followed, his emotions around Nuffield started to change into thoughts. Here was a relatively new, highly configurable, nearby theater space that stood empty. He called up his finance director, Allison, with an off-the-wall idea. And they started to crunch some numbers, and they had some Zoom meetings with their board and with their leadership team, and everyone agreed that taking over the Nuffield Theatre to become the new home for their education and community outreach was an incredible opportunity. And everyone agreed that taking over the Nuffield Theatres in the middle of lockdown was ludicrous. And yet, people will follow. An increased and not business as usual vision for the future, run forward, the way will spring open. And so the board and the staff of the Mayflower decided to stop hunkering down, and they chose to run forward. Appealing to the city and to Arts Council England, they received major funding to take over the Nuffield Theatre, make it a new home for their education and community outreach programs, and they renamed it Mayflower Studios, or simply MAST. Now imagine my surprise when I saw this article, which is the first time I found out about it. I texted Michael with my congratulations, and what follows is a complete transcript of our text exchange. I said, Congratulations, this is fantastic news. Michael replied, thanks, Andrew. Who buys a theater in a pandemic? Hand raise emoji. But just as the poet and the professor had predicted, they ran forward and the way sprang open to them. And just this last May, MAST celebrated their first birthday, which was the fulfillment of their ludicrous dream. And today, MAST is bustling with activity. They now house the administrative offices of 7 of their community partners. And this year, they will welcome 63,000 participants, the equivalent of selling out the Mayflower 28 times. And that is the lesson. Even if the odds are against you, but you have an extraordinary vision, run forward and have faith that the way will spring open to you.